welcome this morning. Now, no, Catherine, we're going to talk about volunteering. So, what things do you have to bring to mind this morning for us?
So for volunteering, we're getting to the end of the year, and in February we have a big award ceremony recognition. It's very important for us because we want to say thank you to our volunteers. So this is kind of a crucial time right now to make sure that if you have not submitted your hours, that you go ahead and do that. There's various ways that people in groups do that. We want to make sure that we have an accurate count of each individual's hours because we give some really nice recognition awards. So there are a few ways that you can submit your hours. Some people, like at Channel 6, they're here, they submit their hours as a group, and Diane, the manager of Channel 6, will email me those hours. So that's absolutely fine. If you're in a group and you have a group leader who wants to gather that data and then submit it to me, either email or bring it over to the office, that's absolutely fine. Some people do individual volunteering and they may want to sign in an individual book. We have books throughout the campus. We have one at Garden Ridge in philanthropy. There are books, sign-in volunteer books throughout the campus, so some people prefer to do that, and that's absolutely fine. Some people might just want to email me, hey, you know, I've done this many hours this quarter. They might not want to do it each month, and that's also fine. Our main goal is that we have those hours so that we can recognize those individuals for the great work that they do. We have, this year we started out with a computer program tracking these hours, and we went to a new system. So there was some transition. So we want to doubly make sure all those hours are accurate. So I encourage people, if you have any questions whatsoever, please give me a call. Please make sure that you've submitted your hours. All hours should go through the volunteer programs office so that we can track those in this computer system and make sure that they're accurate.
Since we're talking about reporting hours, and I know this young lady on your left is deeply involved in volunteering, Marge, who do you report your volunteer hours to?
It depends on which group I am with.
Okay, that's what I wanted to ask.
Okay.
You're a member of 2 or 3 groups.
Right. If I work at Garden Ridge, I put them in the book over there. If I do hospice, I send them to her. For the players, for example, we have one person who collects them for the group.
Okay.
So each group is a little different.
So you have 3 different venues that you report to.
There's probably more than that.
Yeah, for you.
Well, I know as I said, you're deeply involved.
Right.
And that's great.
Right.
We'd like to see more people become deeply involved in volunteering.
Absolutely.
It keeps your mind sharp, for one thing.
Yeah, it does. It does do that.
Now pursuing what Marge just said, and I am also a volunteer sitting here, plus we have 3 volunteers in the room with us on the camera. I report my volunteer hours to Diane because the majority of my volunteering is here. But I also have other volunteer venues, and like the entertainment group, of which Marge is a member. So I follow along her lead on reporting. Now that we have established that we volunteers report, I'd like to pursue it in more deep detail. What do you do with the many hours that you amass on your computer system?
So we do a variety of things. Our main focus is to support our mission and why we volunteer. It's because research shows that people who volunteer, people who give back are more engaged. They not only live longer lives, but they live happier lives. So that's our first mission, to support that. But there is a clerical part of all this data, and that also kind of supports our mission. We're a very giving community. We're a nonprofit. So to maintain that status, part of the criteria through the IRS is that we want to show that we have volunteers, that we are a giving community. So we do track all those hours, and they are reported. So that is why, another reason why it's very important that we have this accurate data. So we really, truly appreciate people reporting these hours, submitting these hours. They go into a big, database, and they are accurately tracked, and that is one of the main reasons also for that why we do that.
You probably have volunteers that keep track of the hours.
I mean, it's a very laborsome
Right.
task to enter these hours.
Right.
Some groups, give thousands of hours. It's really impressive.
That's what I was going to ask next, but Marge took away my question, and that is, do you have a volunteer or volunteers in your office to help amass all this data?
So in the past, we have had that. With this new data system, we have changed that. So right now, we don't have anyone who is entering in those hours except for myself. So I'm kind of seeing numbers right now in my head. And the reason for that is because we do take privacy very seriously. And in order to get into that database would also permit that person to get into the whole Green Spring computer system. And we take that seriously, so we want to protect that privacy. So a paid staff person does that, which is me right now. And it's just very impressive when you see the amount of hours individuals like Marge and yourself contribute to the community, but also these groups, large groups. We have a group that goes out to a local school every Wednesday, and that group is growing and growing. And the hours that they put in, it's really impressive. Mrs. Brooks is one of our volunteers, and yesterday when I was at the elementary school, we were signing in. There's a computer system that we sign into, and the cutest little kid came running through the lobby to get to her, and just was hugging on her leg so hard, and the child's
really?
mom was there and just had the biggest smile on her face, and it was really endearing. It was really great.
That's outstanding.
Yeah.
Right, it is.
I had heard stories about that, whereas these children look forward
Oh yes.
to the day or the morning that the volunteer from Green Spring is over there. I don't know what they call them, maybe grandmom or mom or whatever.
I think it's a slew of things, but all endearing.
Oh, I'm sure.
Right, right.
Okay, now I want to pursue this one more time.
Sure.
Let us, for purposes of discussion only, Green Spring at the end of the year amasses 85,000 hours of volunteer. It goes to IRS. What does this tell IRS, or what does IRS tell us? Now, I don't know if that's a bona fide question or not, but I'm curious.
Well, I think it's very detailed as to all the requirements, and I'm not privy to all the requirements to maintain that nonprofit status. But I am aware that the volunteerism is a big component of that. So, we are a very large community that is a very giving community. So our hours and our head count of volunteers, the amount of volunteers that we have, it's very impressive. We want to continue to maintain that and actually grow it. So that's what our goal is, and I think that we're achieving that. It's really great stuff.
Marge Crape, I happen to know, has received the Presidential Award for all of the volunteering hours that you put in. Can you pass on how many hours you put in to get this award?
4,000
You put in 4,000 plus, I'm
plus,
sure.
right.
And you received that 2 years ago?
No, I guess it was
Was
2
it?
years ago.
Yeah.
Right.
I know, I was there with you.
Because you received it also.
But at that time, when Marge and I received our awards, and I was quite proud, and I'm sure she is, Robin Gliboff, who was our former executive director, had a little luncheon for dinner for us. Do you plan on doing the same thing,
Well,
or have Ben do it?
yeah, I mean, Ben definitely will be there. Ben is extremely supportive of the volunteer program. He knows how
Yes, he
important it is. He's amazing. So yes, we'll continue to do those same recognition types of things and actually grow on those. We want to, extend beyond what we've already done. So lots of surprises. I can't tell you everything. You have to be surprised.
Well, I think Marge again will agree with me that I feel like volunteering keeps me active, keeps my memory hopefully viable, and in some small way keeps me young,
Right?
Yeah.
although I'm 94. So, Marge, you agree?
I agree, 100%.
So what other next question I should ask is, do we need more volunteers?
Always. Every time you ask me that, I'm always going to say yes, because we can never have enough volunteers. We have so many different groups and activities to support, so we need volunteers. One of the areas that we do need volunteers, or two of the areas right now that I'm really looking for volunteers, are hospice volunteers. And Marge has been a hospice volunteer for quite some time, and she's going to speak to that. Another is over at Garden Ridge, we always need volunteers. So specifically, we're looking for people who are willing to help deliver the mail to our residents at Garden Ridge. We have a mail cart, and they go around and they deliver the mail. It's actually a great opportunity to meet residents. Everyone loves it when they get mail. So if you're in...
That was one of the things I was going to ask you. What are specifically the duties, if I can use the word, for a hospice volunteer?
Mainly to be there with the person. Usually they have 6 months left in their life, and it's a good time to be with them. Every person is different. Every person likes something different. I have some that love to sing, so I have my songbook always ready. Some love for you to read to them, so I have a book always ready. And some like to talk about their families, so they have pictures on the wall, and that's a perfect time to discuss families and that type of thing. And a lot of them like to go for walks, so you walk up and down the hall, and they look at all the shelves, things to pass their day to make them feel good.
I was going to ask you, Marge, if you sat down with a client, if you will, or resident over there, and chatted with them, and obviously you do just that.
Yeah. You find out what they're interested in, what they would like for you to do. I think the most interesting I've ever had was a gentleman who was Catholic. And he was nearing the end of his life, and he said, "Would you say the rosary with me?" And I thought, I don't know the rosary. So I went out and found a copy of it. And so I would read the rosary, and he would do the beads. And that was a very good feeling. Sorry. Right. So you get involved.
I salute you, my dear.
Yeah. You get involved in their lives.
If I had a hat on, I would tip it to you.
Thank you. Yeah.
That's so typical of volunteering here.
Yes.
Right.
So, Catherine, back to your specific jobs. What other aspects of volunteering should we discuss?
Well, we've discussed the hours. That's, especially since it's the end of the year, getting towards that, we definitely want to focus on that. We want to focus on if for new residents moving to the campus, it takes a while to get acclimated to everything.
Sure.
And, you're not going to know everything in a couple weeks. So please give me a call. We can sit down in my office. We can go over all the opportunities and find that right match for someone. That's really, really important, is to find what your passion is, find what your interest is, and then we will match that up. So for new residents, I encourage them, please give me a call. We'll talk about everything. Someone who's interested in maybe becoming a hospice volunteer, listening to Marge and that connection that you have with another human being and being part of that, I think that's amazing. That's going to be a lifelong memory for Marge. And so I encourage people to, they might have preconceived idea of what a hospice volunteer is and that it's sad or not, but it's not. It's really very enriching. And it's someone who can offer companionship and support and friendship So, you know, even if you want to kind of shadow Marge for a day and see what she does, maybe, you know, there's no strong commitment. You can come and see what it's about. We want to, you know, have that right fit for that individual.
I'm sure you would love to have someone sit with you or follow you.
Sure, sure.
As to what
Right,
you
right.
do.
Another important part of hospice is the family. You get to know the families, and that is part of the cycle too. And that's very, you know,
Well,
the families are very grateful for you being there to hold their hand. You know.
I know volunteering is very fulfilling, and as an example, I show movies downstairs, and as the movie is finished, people will stop by the control room and just say, "Thanks, Bob," and that means so much.
Right?
That maybe in some small way I have brought something into their life. Maybe
Right.
2 hours a night has been filled, whereas they would be just sitting back in their apartment. So we're entertaining, and I think it's a very fulfilling thing. And I would join you two ladies in saying to the people out there, please volunteer. See Catherine. She's in the phone book. What is your phone number, by the way?
So my office is in Garden Ridge on the second floor, so stop by any time. My phone number is 703-923-3154, and I'll be glad to talk to you anytime. And you know what Marge was saying and what you were saying about, you know, someone coming to say thank you.
Yeah?
A hospice volunteer told me recently that she was visiting this resident for quite some time, and the resident did pass away. And she said that the last time she went to visit this resident, she noticed a housekeeper in the hallway just watching her. And when she left, the housekeeper stopped and just gently touched her and said, "God bless you. Thank you so much for doing that." So, you know, you never know who else you're touching
Right,
beyond that
right.
resident.
Right.
So
That's amazing.
it was really nice, yeah.
Right.
Any other aspects of volunteering that we should discuss? Any new programs coming up?
Well, Garden Ridge is always in need. We need people who just want to sit with a resident, to talk to a resident. Some people don't like to come out of their rooms. Maybe they never were a joiner. They're not going to change that now, but maybe they would like that visitor. Again, mail delivery is a big need at Garden
That's
Ridge.
fun. That's fun.
And Marge does that as well.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
and it is fun. You
It
get
is
to meet a lot
fun.
of people.
Yes, you do.
I would assume that people look forward to your little card coming around.
Oh,
with the
they
mail.
really. Oh, here comes the mail person.
Oh, really?
They don't call you mailman because I'm a woman. Anyway, here comes the mail person. Yeah, so
that's
anyway,
Especially with the holidays approaching,
Right.
you know, our mail is going to increase, so we're going to need a lot of help. And it's great to deliver those holiday cards.
It
People
is.
do get really excited.
I
right.
do have one other question. Do you help feed those
Yes,
residents?
but you have to take special training to become a feeder.
Who would you see to be trained? Catherine?
Yes, and then we also have, you know, we have a trainer, a nurse trainer that will specifically
you
help
do?
with that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. Yes, you have to learn how to feed.
Of course,
Right.
you got to watch out. You can't give them too much food where they would choke.
Right. Yeah. No, you're taught how to be a feeder.
Right.
Yes. And it's kind of a nice thing because it's one-on-one, and you get to be with the person, and you know, and sometimes that's very special. So, yeah.
What else do we have to chat about?
Well, you know, a little more at Garden Ridge. I can tell you, you know, we talked about the mail. We also are looking to, you know, enhance some evening programs. So sometimes people after dinner, they might be looking for something to do. So there are those opportunities too. We don't want people to think that volunteer is just, you know, from 9 to 5, because it's really not. We have lots of volunteer opportunities in the evenings and on the weekends, similar to what you do about showing the movies. You know, our residents at Garden Ridge really like that, and we have individual neighborhoods, so it's not one big community room. So it's kind of like a little neighborhood on each floor, if you will. And we could always use more help, you know, with those types of things in the evening time.
And you mentioned in passing early on about February, you have a gathering of all the volunteers, and you recognize
Yes.
X hours and Y hours and Z hours and then you take the pictures and all this, and this adds something to the whole program. I like it very much, and I've tried to attend every one that we've had here so far. Well, ladies, we're down.
Get a friend, and go be a and do it together. Get a friend and do the mail. Then you have it. You know, one does one side, one does the other side, and it's a lot of fun. And especially if you have a friend with you, then you know. Anyway, get a friend and go deliver the mail.
I hadn't thought about that, but that's a good idea.
Right, right.
So, I want to thank you both very much for being here this morning. You've really enlightened, I'm sure, all of us on the volunteer program. So, once again, thank you.